Hey guys, welcome back to the Elevate HD podcast. This is episode 10. And today we are joined by Josh Bridgman, who I'm sure we all know already, but he is an IFBB men's physique pro athlete. He's an online physique coach, and he's also the owner of 1MR. So Josh, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Cheers.
No problem at all. So I thought we would start off with the whole basis of 1MR. Like, where did that name come from? Because obviously everyone knows it's synonymous with you and your lifestyle at the moment, and also the brand. But how did it start?
So the origins of 1MR, I used to go to university. Obviously, people that don't know, I used to go to university, and a big part of that university lifestyle for us was like, we weren't like the best students, so like shit was hard. Like trying to do your exams and trying to manage everything that we had to do was hard for my select friends. And then we did find it very, very difficult. And we kind of fell in love with the gym. We had this kind of little bit of a cult within my friendship group that would go to the gym and would kind of like would live that lifestyle a little bit. And it very much kind of fell over from bodybuilding. Like, come on, one more rep, bro, one more rep, you got one more, there's always one more. We used to just say that to each other when we had to go to our classes and we had to go to our seminars and we had to go to our exams, and we said, come on, it's just one more, that's all it is. And then tomorrow there's one more left, and then the next day there's another one. And it just kind of fell into place from there. And it wasn't until like we used to say it, one more rep, we always used to say it. And then as my kind of social media grew as such, I realized that in order to monetize an audience, you need a brand. So I'm like, cool, let me work on a brand. So I started off with just my like coaching name, which was JBF, which was Josh Bridgman Fitness, and I called it like the Brigade to try and encompass people into it. And it started off like that, and I realized that attaching yourself to a brand, especially a brand that that the service isn't you. I'm not the service is the clothes, the accessories. That if I attach myself to the brand and I called it Josh Bridgman Fitness for the rest of the time, that it's going to be limited to the growth that I have completely, and it's not going to be separate from that. So I needed a name. And I kind of just spitballed. I said, I always used to say one more rep, didn't I? Like 1MR, like there's 1MR running off and it rang off the tongue really well. And I just went for it, and 1MR kind of stuck with it. Like, and fortunately, it had that it had a really, really, really profound meaning behind it before it was even a thing. So it's carried over into the industry quite well.
Yeah, and it's something that like it stands out to people because they're like, oh, what is that? What does that mean? And it does like generate that intrigue.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the goal, just to try and, like it looks nice as well with the font. It kind of worked pretty well because it looks really, really nice. It's 1MR. And then people want to go, what does that stand for? One more rep, okay, that must be very bodybuilding. But then they find that there's a lot more meaning behind it. And actually, one more rep is it's like people have coined the mindset before: alpha elite, dream more, do more, learn more. Like, it's very similar, but it just kind of was personalized to me. So it just allows people to, I'm glad that people can find the meaning behind it as they delve a little bit deeper into it.
And then how would you define like 1MR mentality? Like, if you were to sum it up, what does it mean?
It means when everything seems an uphill battle, when everything seems like you can't, you must, and you can, and you will, and you need to just show up. And actually, part of the biggest part of success that I've seen from people who I follow and for myself, it has been showing up, has been taking that rep every day, and the mentality of just keep going, just keep turning up, because it will make a difference. And that's probably the meaning behind it the most.
And then in terms of your own life, like, have you experienced any sort of like adversity or stumbles or falls that mentality has gotten you through?
Yeah, for sure. Many, many, many things. Depends how deep we want to get today. Yeah, many, many things. I think not only I struggle to say that bodybuilding is a hardship, but it is when you're in a prep and you're really trying to show up and everything is against you, but you want to just keep showing up. Like, so, I face that every year when I do prep. But you know what? Like, I've had problems in my personal life. Like my dad's been very, very ill at times. He was completely paralyzed at the time, and he actually embodied that one more rep mentality when it happened to him. And of all the people in the room when he was paralyzed from the waist down, he was the positive one. And so there's been many, many times when it's been transferable to my personal life, even getting through university. I had a lot of anxiety during university. So, it helped me just turn up sometimes. The idea of just showing up. So yeah, there's been many, many times in my personal life where it's been apparent I can live that.
So you've seen it in yourself, but also in like those around you that kind of inspire you to be more.
Massively so, yeah, for sure.
That's really cool. It's such an interesting concept and way of life. It just always pushes you on to be more and do more and do better than you think you can do, because there's always something left in the tank.
Exactly. And like I was living that life before I kind of started talking about it publicly, and it's just all I noticed. It was just that actually you do have up and down days, but if you keep showing up, there's a positive correlation. It goes up. You draw a graph, like it's literally directly upwards as if you keep showing up. So really translated.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting way to live. So then going into the actual brand itself, like what gave you the idea that you wanted to start this brand of equipment? Because obviously like there was definitely a need for it, and there was a gap in the market for that kind of stuff, because we were all getting it off Amazon or like random like climbing shops and stuff like that online.
Yeah, so it was literally like the first introduction pack from Callum from the Muscle Metals Climber Restrict, for the people listening. Obviously, you know Cal well. And I'm like, what is a cuff, a daisy chain, a carabiner? Like, we going climbing? Like, what's all this about? And then obviously, as I used them for a long time, and then I really started to delve into why we're using them. Okay, cool. I know why we're using them. I understand why a lot of people are using them now. It's almost like a trend in the industry. Why do I have to go to Amazon for this? Why do I have to go to a climbing store for this? Why do I have to go this for this? Why has no one made a cuff that doesn't destroy your arms? Why has no one like done something that's specific for this? Surprisingly, I thought the Muscle Mentals would do it. Yeah, I just thought, right, I'm just going to make a cuff because these cuffs are just destroying me. Like, I'm getting really, really strong. I'm getting like abrasions on my arm. I'm pulling hair off, and it's pissing me off. Let me see if I can find something that's soft. And I did, and I used it myself for ages. And I thought, it's probably a bit of a market. Let me see how many I can get. And started doing it, and it kind of caught. I mean, they're really, really good. They are literally the best. So I'm very happy to have produced something that's very, very good. But then once I started getting the feedback from from top coaches like yourself, like Cal, like Luke, like all those people, and they're like, no, these are really, really good. I thought, oh, we might be onto something here. Let's see what else we can do. And then it just kind of came to me, right? Why has no one done all this stuff? So let's do all this stuff. Let's make it really nicely branded. Let's make it a one-stop shop for everything that you need with accessories. And it kind of ended up like there's a lot of accessory companies, but there's no accessory companies that do cuffs, reverse banding, carabiners, anything like that. So here I am. I've kind of a little bit fell into the niche, but I feel like I had a little bit of awareness to see the niche, and now we're kind of just running into that and just trying to make it our own.
Yeah, like I remember when I first joined up with Luke, and I was training in basically the Irish equivalent of a pure gym, and I was reading all his notes, all the stuff I needed, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is all this stuff? And I was setting up all these like daisy chains and carabiners and cuffs and stuff like that, and the looks I would get, because it just wasn't the norm. Whereas you and your brand have really helped to make it a normal thing. Like, you go into any gym and it's normal to see reverse banding or cuffs. Like, it's hard to go into a gym without seeing a pair of one-on-one cuffs somewhere in the gym, on the gym floor.
Yeah. Crazy for you. I can't believe it sometimes. I do walk whenever I do travel to a different gym and see someone wearing it, it's like, yeah, okay, good.
It's crazy how quickly it happened as well, like relatively speaking. It's been quite a short space of time for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think I say like there's a little bit of good fortune there in the connections that I had, probably. Like I'm friends with all the top coaches, right? And all the top coaches are going to recommend the best equipment. So it kind of just like trickled down. And, we have people, who promote the brand because it's literally like, it's the stuff that they want all their clients to wear, because why would you want your clients to have something suboptimal? You wouldn't. So a little bit of good fortune with the people that I knew, but backed up with a good product. So it's kind of like a nice little melting pot of, success for the last year or so.
I suppose like you can look at it as luck, but at the same time, like the reason why you are on a par with all these people is because you're as good, if not better than them, and you've got yourself to that level as well. So it's not just good fortune that you're there.
Yeah. Pros and cons.
Yeah. But like what I find is we are helping to kind of make it more mainstream and make, resist or like reverse banding and all that stuff more normal, but there's still a lot of kind of old school bodybuilders who are saying like, oh, if you're not as strong as like Ian Villiers, there is no point in reverse banding a side back stack or something like that. Or oh, all the best bodybuilders were built on barbells and dumbbells, so what's the point in all this stuff? So how would you refute that? Like, what is your argument against that?
I would say let's look at bodybuilders in the next 10, 20 years. I mean, they didn't exist. I didn't even know what a reverse band was 3 years ago. So, let's give it some time. Let's give it some traction. And you're going to see that the top bodybuilders are probably built on this stuff. And you'll notice there's probably a common trend that they don't have as many injuries. They last a little bit longer. They, have a little bit less wear and tear. And it's very much that old school mentality. I don't actually really have a problem with it. You can fall on that side if you want to. I think my issue comes when you start to project that onto someone. Like, I think it really like there's so many young kids, and I would have been one of those kids, but we didn't have the knowledge back then, who are hungry to learn, who are hungry to improve, and they are so intimidated to put a pair of cuffs on a cable because the big bloke's going, "What the fuck are you doing, mate? Like, get a barbell, mate, and bench press." Like the guy who's had 3 pec tears. And it's just, so it's very, very like, it's annoying. I don't care if you don't agree with any of it, just don't project it on people. And I'll just say that there's a lot of very, 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 very smart people who have spent decades learning about this stuff, and it's only just coming to the forefront now. I think about Luke, I think about N1 Education, I think about those types of people who have solely spent their time on biomechanics and improving exercises. Like, they know more than the bodybuilders. They know more than fucking Phil Heath. I'm not going to sit here and like say anything else. They know more than those people because they spend time learning it. It doesn't mean that it can't translate into real life for them. It's different goals and whatnot. But when the smartest people in the room say to do something, I generally think it's probably a good idea.
Yeah. I think a lot of the argument you sometimes hear is like, say, for example, me, who's obviously a small bikini competitor, that when I start teaching all this stuff, they're like, why would I listen to you? You're small. Like, you obviously have nothing to show for it. But then if you look at like the top football coaches or any sort of coach in any other sports industry, they're not the best athlete. They are the best coach. It's not the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really, really important as well. And I think especially in bodybuilding, because it's very visual, people are like, oh, muscle, no knowledge, no muscle, no knowledge. And it's just not the case. You look at people like Chris Aceto, he's just like a skinny little old man. Not that he's going to be one of the best coaches, but he's the top coach in the game, one of those guys. And you look at every single top coach. Were any of them an Olympian? I can't think of one, off the top of my head. So, like you said, the best coaches aren't always the best athletes.
Yeah, and because they've spent so much time investing in their own coaching abilities that they probably don't have as much time to be the best athlete. Like, they have to be more selfless than selfish.
Exactly. Being an athlete is completely different to being a coach. Yeah.
What I find as well is that if you're born without the genetics of gods, you've had to learn all this stuff. So I find, because I've struggled, like I've been training for 5 years, like I have never been someone who grows muscle really easily. So I've had to invest in, how can I optimize my training? How can I maximize every single rep? How can I get the most out of my sessions? Because I've needed to. Whereas other people who have the genetics that they just grow like weeds, like they don't need to invest that time in that. They can just do whatever they want and then it's fine. Yeah,
exactly. That's very true.
Yeah, so there is definitely more to it than that. And like the argument, well, Ronnie didn't do it, and is often hard to refute, but it, maybe he didn't need to. And also, like, a big argument is the longevity side of things, which isn't sexy and isn't very interesting right now, but you're going to care about it down the line when you're a bit older and your joints are wrecked and you can't stand.
Exactly.
That is. So what, in terms of like the goal for the business moving forward, like for the next year, 5 years, do you have like a plan, like a vision for it?
I find those questions quite hard because you never know how it's going to go, but I would like to say I'd like to be one of the biggest names in the industry. Like, every gym you'd be seeing my brand, the brand. We've got every sort of accessory kind of covered. We've expanded into something that probably the other accessory companies aren't doing as much. Like, they definitely have like athletes and stuff, but it's like people who are athletes versus like on social media properly, kind of like the Gymshark model type of thing, where they took on really good influencers, but with good knowledge and stuff. So I'd love some amazing athletes to represent the brand. A little bit of a bigger foothold in America, in Europe, and just try and like get a little bit over there as well, because I think the market's obviously much smaller in the UK, but I think with accessories, especially if you do the accessories well, there's only so many pairs of cuffs that someone's going to buy, right? Maybe 1 to maybe 3 over like 10 years, hopefully, if they're really if they don't break, for example. So there is like a limit. Like once you've hit the market and you've saturated the market, what's next? You need another market. So that's something that's just in my mind. Not that I've even touched the main portion of the market, as I keep finding out. Like we've sold 8,000 pairs of cuffs,
Wow.
to date, maybe more. And it doesn't slow down. And I'm thinking one day I'm going to wake up and like, right, has anyone not got, like, everyone must have a pair of cuffs right now. But the market, the actual market is so much bigger than I think it actually is. So saturate the market a little bit more in the UK, try to get over to the US, maybe Australia a little bit more, and increase our footholds over there.
Yeah, and the way the trajectory is going, that is a very feasible thing to happen in the next few years.
You just got to play the cards right. You just got to make the right business decisions. But I'm learning that on the spot, so it's quite difficult to make the right decisions at the right time. But we're getting there slowly.
That must be so hard. And also, I think, like, in terms of keeping up with trends, because developing a product takes so long, it's hard to keep up with the trends because you might be behind by the time it's ready to go.
I know it's really difficult, and trying to juggle so many different products that are coming through the pipeline. It's like I forget sometimes. Like like if I've got 10 items, I might get 8 on the way, but there's that one I've forgotten. And so yeah, it does become a little bit difficult to try and hit those trends, but so far so good, I think.
Yeah, no, you definitely do well so far. And also in terms of, like, you realize that, I don't just need one pair of cuffs because everyone has different side arms, everyone uses them for different exercises. So you needed the different styles and sizes for that. So it's not just a cuff, there's like also these branches of types of cuffs. So you kind of registered that as well.
Yeah, that was really consumer feedback. That was honestly, like, I think gratefully, because of the openness that I've had through my career, people aren't afraid to be like, yo, I need this is just sliding up my arms, it's pissing me off, and then they know that I'm not going to be like, or deal with it, like I'm going to go fix the problem. So I think, like a lot of girls came to me, they use the OG cuffs and they just slide up the arms, they're too big, right? Okay, we need something thinner. And then okay, I'll use the thin ones, but I can't get them over my ankle when I want to do, or over my leg when I want to do a hip extension or anything like that. So, all right, we need a wider one. So very much like consumer feedback led me to that, which is quite good.
Yeah, and it's important to listen to that as well, because it could be easy for you to say, oh, don't be silly, like my stuff is the best. But like to take it on board and to adapt what you're doing based on the consumer, that's the most important thing, because they're the ones that are giving you the business at the end of the day. So
I think it's what's going to separate us from everything else. I think I've shopped at Strength. I don't know whether I should say their name. I've shopped at Strength Shop and SBD for as long as I've been in bodybuilding, and I've not seen their products change. Like, I've had issues with their knee sleeves, like they're either too thick, too stiff, or X, Y, and Z. But we're going to listen and we're going to change it. It does cost a bit more. It does take a bit more time to do it, but it's going to make a difference. Like no one's ever like specified these things based off like preferences. So I'm hoping that that's what we can do.
Yeah, and people value you putting the extra effort in. They're probably they probably would end up spending a bit more if they knew that they were being valued and respected as a consumer as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned potential looking at athletes. I know you said that you've kind of been looking into this. So for people that are listening who are like, want the dream of being a 1 or more athlete, like what would be the ideal athlete to you? Like what epitomizes 1 or more in a person?
I actually had this conversation yesterday with someone who was going to help me try and source these people, look for these people. Obviously got many people in mind. I think someone who wears their heart on their sleeve, someone who's completely honest, someone who's not afraid to be shown to be wrong, someone who understands why I think you've got to have an understanding of why you would use these, right? You can find 1 million follower influencers and pay them $5,000 and they'll post about it, but do they really understand why? Do they understand how? Are they able to educate you on why? Because the first thing is, if you post someone doing a reverse band and you've got 1 million followers and it's in the general fitness community or in the general community or the lifestyle community, 999,000 of them are going to go, what is that for? And if you can't explain, it doesn't translate. So it's got to be someone who understands. It's got to be someone who is kind of open-minded as well, like ready to open their mind and change. And and who also isn't afraid to have their own input. I want to build a team. I want to build a family. I want to build people who are really, really care about it, and ultimately want the company to succeed. Like from the business side, there has to be a following. Like I have to say that, like there has to be some sort of traction that they can get. I wouldn't say there's like a minimum amount of followers, but like, you know, you gotta have a team behind you that are gonna come back you when you come, because otherwise the business relationship doesn't work out, of course. But yeah, so something like that.
Yeah, and like as for me, as being a part of both the Physique Collective and Compact, like that family feel is everything. Like it is so nice to feel that you are part of a community, part of a brand, part of like people support each other and care about each other and lift each other up. Like it's the nicest feeling ever.
Yeah, it is, and it makes a difference for everyone. You want to work for them. You want to be a part of that team. I'm a part of a team as well for my supplement sponsor, and it feels like that. You can't wait to go see them again at an expo. You don't want a group of people where you're like, well, I don't actually like you that much, but you sell a lot. You sell a lot of cuffs though. Like that's not what I want. That's not really the vibe that we're going for.
Yeah, and I've been on both sides of it because I have worked for very big supplement companies where you're just an affiliate, just a number, and you're just about, you know, how much money is your code uses this week or this month. And then I've been on the other side where I've had the family feel, where it's all about getting together, collaborating, supporting each other, you know, meetups, events, and it's such a nice thing to be a part of. I think that's, in terms of my bodybuilding experience, that is a huge part of why I do it and why I show up to things, because I just love that feeling.
Yeah, it makes such a big difference.
Yeah, because it's easy, as we know in bodybuilding, for it to be quite a solitary thing to do, you know, to, you know, do your cardio by yourself, do your steps by yourself, train on your own, and it can be quite isolating, especially in a prep when you're not really doing as many social events. So these things I think are really, really important to bring everyone together.
Yeah, completely. I mean, like you said it perfectly there. Like when you go to Body Power, when you go to the Arnold's, doesn't it feel like you're coming home a little bit and you're seeing all your friends that you've looked at all year? But we don't have like things like that other than, you know, those two expos. So yeah, bodybuilding is very isolation. So having that team spirit is invaluable.
Yeah, like I feel like I have an alter ego and I call her Expo Holly because she just comes out and she's just so excited. I have like adrenaline rushing. I leave on a high. So I just love talking to everyone and like meeting up with new people and seeing old people, and like, oh, I just absolutely love that feeling. And that's what I look forward to throughout my year, and also like during prep, as I said, like it is so nice to have these little events to kind of break it up and make you feel that you're not alone. Because like for me, I don't work in bodybuilding, and I also work from home. So apart from my gym, I don't really see any other kind of interact with anyone during the day. So it's just really nice to have these times where you can kind of get together with people.
Yeah, completely agree.
So we were saying before we started recording that you have started prep just over a week ago. So how are you feeling about that?
Feel good. Feel ready. I was ready to prep a good month ago. So it's just kind of like been holding on until we get the green light. And yeah, I live for this. I literally, I live for this. Like I will give up everything for this stream. It feels so good to be back in the swing of things and just like chasing. Not that you're not in the swing of things in an off season, but when that goal's a little bit further away, it's quite hard to feel as good as I feel right now. And I'm just thinking about every day. Every day's a new day to get better. Every day's one more rep. Every day's a new day to get better. Every day's a new day to improve and, you know, chase down the goal.
Yeah, because we obviously know that off season is so important and such a huge part of the overall journey. But when you feel like you're like indirectly working for the goal and not directly focused on it, it can be hard to feel as excited and as motivated every day.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I also feel like when you start prep, you just feel more energized straight away. You feel more productive. You feel more like you can get more done, more efficient. Obviously, towards the back end, that kind of goes.
That's what I was going to say. Ask me this question again in about 10 weeks. I'll be like, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I got you on the podcast now, so you're not just like, what do I say? But no, it's like it's that initial feeling of you're working for your goal directly.
For
you know,
sure.
the end is in sight. You can start the countdown now.
For sure.
So, what shows are you aiming for then?
So I've got 3 shows in mind. Well, I've got 4 shows in mind, it kind of depends on how they go. It's just like my rookie season, so there's a few ways that it could go, and it will change based off that. But we've got the first one, really, really nice, is actually in England. It's going to be one of the first pro shows that they're doing in England for years. I can't remember the last time they did a pro show. On the 31st of July. And then we're going to fly to Tampa and do the Tampa Pro. So quite a big one, just to jump into the deep end, see what happens, and then the Texas Pro the week after. So another big one, just to kind of see what the standards like, see if I even match up, and then from there I've either got absolutely smashed and I'll call the season, I'll get bigger, or I've done all right and then I'll try to do the Arnolds as well in
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It'd be nice to end on home soil as well, because that stage
very nice.
last year is just incredible. It's such a fun.
It'd be very, very nice. Very nice.
So then for each of these shows, do you have like a goal in mind of what you'd like to achieve in terms of placings?
It's a little bit of the unknown. I think using a little bit of experience and realism, it's very, like, I like to think that there's a small slither of a chance that I'll get to the Olympia, like a 10%, maybe a 15. So realistically speaking, for the England show, quality is probably not going to be as good as America, especially Tampa and Texas Pro. So I'd like to be a little bit higher up the line. It's also the first show. It's also quite an early show, so it depends on how many people turn up. So there could be 10 people that turn up. There could be 20, 30, 40. I imagine it would be around 15. So honestly, I'd want to be making the first cut of every show. So if that's the top 15, the top 10. Realistic, like, honestly, like in the England one, I want to be pushing towards that top 5, ideally, really. And then in the Tampa and Texas, it's very, very unknown. Like they're going to be 30, 40 men deep who will even look at me. It's so difficult to know, but I'd like to be within that first cut at least, just to know that I can hang with the top half of people, for example.
Yeah, it's like the American scene is so full of unknowns. It can be so different to here. Like even for bikini, it's completely different what they look for in terms of criteria.
Yeah, it's really difficult.
But it will be a really fun experience to do something like that.
Yeah, I can't wait. I say there's going to be no expectations, but obviously as you get closer and closer, like the expectations start to fall on you. But
yeah,
it'll be a little bit less than last year. Last year was like you've got to get this card or everything's going to crumble, So hopefully a little bit less pressure this year.
That must have been so hard, because I remember when Brandon Harding was talking about people in his DM saying, you're going to get a pro card, you're going to get a pro card, you're going to get a pro card, and then he didn't, and then he had all that pressure on top of him. Like at least you succeeded, so that was brilliant, but it must have been hard at the time to be like, geez, I have so many people that are expecting me to do this.
Yeah, it was very, very difficult. It was very difficult, especially after, like, I officially went for it the year before. Like I went for it and I failed that year. So it was like, if you failed twice, I'm that type of bodybuilder or that type of person in my own career I feel like I'm self-aware. If you're getting smashed 2 years in a row and you're not doing it, like, is this even really for you? So, like, I'm coming up to the first couple of shows and I'm thinking, if I don't get second or win my class and get into the overall, you haven't got it, and your entire last 10 years is done. And so that was quite a lot of pressure that I put on myself. I'm quite good. I say quite good, not the best, but ignoring the comments. It's very much like, I appreciate the comment, but you don't know what you're talking about, which is fortunate, but also it is like, especially towards the end, it was bombarding every day. If you don't get this, man, they don't know what they're talking about. I'm like, you've not even seen who's showing up, so let's not do this. Yeah, it was a lot of pressure. So actually, like, the feeling of winning that card was a lot of relief. It was a lot of relief, rather than, like, I was very, very happy, and I actually managed to enjoy the moment after. But that first, like, they say my name and it was like,
Thank
wow,
God.
the elephant has gone, right?
Yeah.
The elephant has gone, the pressure has gone. So yeah, it was quite overwhelming at times.
I know, just like that final relief of feeling like, Jesus, finally, after all of this time, it's finally here. Like, it must have been such a weight off your shoulders.
Such a weight.
I remember I watched the YouTube video I was at home in Ireland. I watched it with my mum and dad on the big projector, and it was like, it gave them chills. They were like, oh my God, this is crazy, because it's like such a crazy thing to happen. And it's just, amazing.
It was a life moment. One of those life moments I remember forever.
Yeah, definitely. So then, like you said, that if you go for a pro card a couple of times, you don't manage it, like, when to call it quits. Like, do you have that feeling with the Olympia? Are you just going to keep going until it happens?
Yeah, I had the same thing. I'm under no illusion that I'm killing myself slowly, like, with or without the drugs. I don't think that bodybuilding is like the quote unquote healthiest sport. I'm battering my joints, I'm battering my ligaments, I'm also taking copious amounts of steroids. Like, I understand what I'm doing to myself. So there is a lifespan on it. I wish I started a bit earlier. I'm 29 now, I'm nearly 30, so I wish I started a bit earlier, but it is what it is at this point. I'd probably take it in a very much the same sort of way. Like, you either genetically have it or you don't. So I'm either going to do all right this year or not do very well. But if it's not like in contention next year, or I'm not like, this is really, really close now, or I've done it, like, then I'm going to start having those thoughts again. It's going to be hard for me to come back another year, and then make it 5-6 years that I've been using steroids, or 5 years, whatever it's going to be. That is something that plays in my brain. So there is going to be like a moving goalpost, I think. Whether, maybe I come like 5th or 6th consistently this year, then next year it's 3rd or 2nd, and then, okay, cool, I can see progression. Whereas if it's like, you made the first cut this year, but you were 15th, and then next year it's like, you got 14th. That's probably not good enough for me. Like, I need to be closing top 10s, closing top 5s. I need to be standing out, and people are like, this guy's the future. Because I'm very I don't need to do bodybuilding as a job, because I can earn money elsewhere, but this is like my thing. This is what I need to do before everything else. So it's a moving goalpost. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And like, as you said, like, if you do place a certain amount, but your placing is always getting better marginally each time,
Yeah.
you can see that I am progressing, and that is motivating in itself. But if that's not happening, then you might have to like rethink, okay, what is the goal now?
Yeah, and that'll be very, very, very hard conversation to have if that has to happen. But
I couldn't imagine that.
I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just going
to throw it. Yeah, let's not think about it. It's just, that's too early for that. But then in terms of like, when you got your pro card, did you receive feedback from judges on like what you would expect to look like as a pro on a pro stage?
No, you actually didn't. I don't know. I feel like they would just make you have your moment, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Like, I won that show, and the guy who ran the show goes, "This is your show, brother. This is your show. Just enjoy it." And I was like, "Wow, this is cool." And so yeah, there's no. I almost feel like the slate gets clean. It's very, very difficult. I did get told by the UK judge, can't quite remember his name. He did say it was quite nice to get confidence boost after I won my qualifier, and he was just like, I've got no doubt you're going to get a pro card this year, and once you do, it's time to grow. So that's all I had, was like, right, I need to get bigger. So that's what we kind of went away and tried to do.
And what do you estimate is going to be like stage weight this time compared to last time?
So I was 96 ish, just over, maybe, kilos, that is. So I'm hoping if I can put 4-ish on, be 100. 4 kilos in the right spot. I got to 10 kilos over my heaviest ever when I started before this time, but probably a little bit more extra body fat. So anything above 100, I'm going to take, and if it's below, then we just won't talk about it again.
That's still like a good amount of size, given like you've been training for so long, and the obviously sure. like the law of diminishing returns applies to everything.
Yeah, for sure. I still think I'm in that point of my muscle gain career that I can still gain pretty decent amounts. I don't think I'm big enough to, be etching out a kilo a year just yet. I'm still pretty fresh. I've not been using anabolics for too long, really, in the scheme of things. So I think I've still got quite a few big pushes left.
Yeah, that's a nice feeling to know that you're going to keep progressing, because it can be hard, especially like people who remain natural. And with every year, they're looking to get like a pound a year or something like that. It can be very frustrating to have to, go into these off seasons and know that that's what you're going to get back from it.
Yeah, very difficult. I think maybe the expectations are a little bit more aligned, though. When you're natural, you can expect to just only build that much, as long as you're not comparing yourself too much to the people who are on anabolics. Yeah,
and if you're on a level playing field and like tested federations, then everyone's in the same boat. So it's probably not too bad. Exactly. Yeah. But then in terms of like other people that you will be on stage with, do you like compare yourself to them ever? Do you look at their physique and say, oh, what do they have that I don't, or vice versa? Or do you try and not compare?
Yeah, I definitely. So what I do is I imagine myself with as much maturity and. Sorry, my phone just went off then. So I imagine myself with as much muscle and as much maturity as they do. And would that look better than them? Like that's kind of how I do it. Because I appreciate I'm not probably there yet. I'm not the best in the world right now. But if I had the best in the world's amount of muscle and the best in the world's amount of maturity, would I look better than him? So that's the kind of thing that I do in my own little world. Whether or not I can get that muscle is a different story. But so I truly believe that I can stand on there with the best in the world once I get to that level of muscularity. I feel like I can get the condition, if not one of the best conditions that'll be on the stage. I know that I've got the shape because of my placings in the past and what people have told me. So it's just going to be a muscle contest and whether I can put enough muscle on and nail it on that day as such, in my opinion.
Yeah. And we know as well that like you can't negate the importance of mindset. Like feeling you can do it and believing in yourself is so important. And like me as a scientist, like I used to not really believe in sort of mindset stuff because there's no facts and figures there, you know, it's not real. But like you actually cannot undermine how important it is to believe in yourself and your capabilities.
For sure. If you believe in yourself, you're going to try a little bit harder. It's going to give you confidence on a day. It's going to make you feel positive when you might have felt negative. It's going to give you energy when you might not have had it. It's going to get you an extra couple reps, which is not very much, but an extra couple reps every day, over a year, over 2 years, over 5 years, over 10 years. It's a lot of compound. So I truly believe that the mindset will 9.9 times out of 10 win.
Yeah, you're just going to subconsciously do more and be better and expect more from yourself. And then you have to deliver on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that was really interesting. So in terms of for the 1MR brand then, do you have anything else that you would like to share, as in like your vision for it, or you as an athlete, or anything like that? The closing statement.
Nothing in particular. Just the goal of, you know, applying. Like you're gonna see like I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years. If you've been following me, or if not, then you can follow me from today. You're gonna see the 1MR rep mindset be put in place for the company, for myself, for my physique career, for everything that I do. If I can apply that mindset, I think that I'm going to be a lot better off, and you're going to see the growth of this company because of that. And hopefully you can adopt it yourself a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely like for me, I can't even remember when I started following you years ago, but like it's been so inspiring to watch the journey, both you as an athlete and also the brand, and how it merges together, and how all of your vision for the brand and yourself, they all kind of align with each other.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's been very cool to watch. So then for people who are listening who don't know who you are, where can they find you, and what services do you offer? What's the brand? Where can they find that? All that stuff.
So you can pretty much type in Josh Bridgman on everything. I should be there. I would say that I'm an online coach for sure, at first and foremost, and then run 1MR second, and then probably an athlete afterwards. I think my main goals are obviously trying to build this 1MR brand into something absolutely incredible. And you can find 1MR, literally 1MR_UK, and you'll find us.
Yeah, and I would highly recommend any of the stuff. I have lots of the bits in my repertoire at the moment, my gym bag's full of it. And I recommend it to all my clients as well if they're looking for anything to optimize their training and the exercises they're performing. So thank you for that as well.
I appreciate it.
No problem. So for those that are listening, if you have tuned into the podcast and you've enjoyed it, I would appreciate if you could take a screenshot, put it on your story, tag myself. I'm at Holly Davidge and at Josh Bridgman with no E, because I've seen people do that. And let us know what you think. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Cheers.